there, this is Melissa Livy, and this is Mom Treading Water. Today, I'm so excited for our second guest, Michelle Kuei, an amazing book. And we were just started to talk about it, and then we had to stop because I was getting all emotional. Perfectly Normal, an immigrant story of making it in America. She's just made it. That's all I'm saying, Michelle. You just made it, girl. But that is not all you do, correct? You have Elevate Life Coaching. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right. And this is your second book, correct? You have an ebook as well?
I had an ebook, and then that was an illustration. So like during my darkest ages and years, what I found really helped me was getting something on the paper. So drawing became one of my emotional outlet where I can just freely draw anything that I want on a piece of paper and not having to worry about, hey, I have to share it with somebody. And when I finished coaching, when I finished all my transformational journey to the point where I'm ready to share with the rest of the world, I took out snippet of what I had created in the past, and I put it into an ebook format. So it's a small ebook. People can download it from my website, and it basically is my lifelong journey of how I feel deep inside, some of the darkest moment, and also some of the lightest, happiest, joyful moment that I have in my life. So I put it all together as an ebook, and there's my own drawing. I did the illustration myself on an iPad, and that was pretty easy. That was easy for me.
Well, you know what, there's a point in your book in the introduction when you say something about I'm paraphrasing, about being, just an ordinary girl telling a story. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there because you are anything but ordinary. Truly, you seriously are. And look we're just starting and I'm already getting choked up. This is so, sorry, Michelle. But you know what? You're also a pharmacist, right? You're a Do you still practice that? Do you still work in a pharmacy or?
I do. So you know how mom wear multiple hats?
Yes.
I wear multiple hats. And even though I am not a mom, so I cannot imagine if I were a mom, how many hats I would be wearing. So there's a couple of hats I'm wearing. I'm a clinical pharmacist. I do this full time. So most of the time, most of the week, I would be in the hospital working with patients, working with the staff. And I'm also a full-time coach. So this is my business. And I'm a motivational speaker. So a lot of time I would be somewhere speaking, if not virtually, then it's in person. And then I published my book in 2019. So I'm a published author. And a volunteer.
Oh, that's all you do? That's it, huh? My gosh, seriously, that's amazing. I don't even know how you do all that you do. But when folks get your book, you'll obviously be able to read the bio in the back, but it says, if we want to find you, you'd be at the gym. All right, so let's get down to serious questions. What is your favorite workout and what is the one you just dread the most?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
So many that you like or so many that you dread?
So many that I drag and so many that I love.
Okay.
So I definitely love pull-ups. Pull-ups is one of my favorite because I feel like I'm a monkey. I can just hang on to a bar, right? So pull-up is pretty easy for me, and I can do up to 20, very, very, very without any effort. So 20 is like kind of my usual go-to. That's my favorite. My least favorite would be anything that has to do with overpress. So I think structurally, when I'm working or when I walk, structurally, I just have trouble doing the overhead press. Every time I press, you can see that the arm is not straight, and I have so much trouble doing that press, overhead press. So that's the most challenging part, and I hated it. I hated it, absolutely hated it. When I raise my arm is never straight, and that's because the way that I walk, I've been kind of using so viewers, listeners who's not watching this or who's just listening, just to give you a visual, I walk with crutches, and I've been walking with crutches for the first I would say 29 years of my life. And so that really structurally made my shoulder leaning forward. And then so I'm always like pushing down on something all the time.
Mhm.
And that created permanent damage. Of course, your shoulder is not as flexible. So this is the reason why I can do like overhead press. And this is my least favorite. I don't like to be in this position.
Yeah, I can get that. I can get, I mean, not, I can empathize with you, I guess. Um, so let me tell you though, when my kids were watching me read your book, my daughter asked what you were holding. And we just, we were explaining it to her. And I said to her, I said, she can do what we can do, but she just has to do it a different way. And I said, but that actually makes her a lot smarter because she has to be clever. She doesn't really have sometimes not too much of a choice. And then she went, oh, I like her ballet pink shoes. I like her shoes. That's what we followed with. So see, as parents, we act like talking about people's differences are going to be like, oh, this heavy, heavy thing. And, oh, I like her ballet pink shoes. And that's what she
Kids have very different view of things. And
Mhm.
and I think one of the things I was struggling with is sometimes we think that kids are cruel. And when I go out, and that was something that was really bothering me a lot, is kids turning around and they're staring at me. I don't know why they're staring at me. They're just curious. They just wanted to know, oh, what happened to you? Like just very innocent way of wanting to know and being curious. But I took it upon myself thinking that they're judging me because this is how I look. So there's a lot of that shaming that was going on inside, with the way that I walk, with the way I look. And this is actually a big improvement from going with 2 crutches to 1 crutch. So this is actually after I did that transformational hike to Machu Picchu. After the fact that I came home and I was all excited, my legs are finally, up to the point where they can stand with themselves without using 2 crutches. So lately, within the last 4 and 5 years, I've been just walking with just 1 crutch.
Mhm.
I don't think I would ever be able to just use 1 crutch without the crutch. I think that just structurally it's not possible, and I'm okay with it. I'm to the point where I'm willing to accept the unacceptable.
I love your attitude. You really do. And I'm going to let you talk about your book because I don't want to give away too much because just the one thing I do have to say is it's so inspirational. You have many reasons and you had a lot of obstacles and you never let those obstacles stop you. And we were talking about this, and there's one particular part of your book towards the beginning. I don't know if you want me to read it or if you would like to read it.
You can read it. You had
You
the book
really
in front
want
of
me
you.
to? Okay. Okay, let me go find it. I love it. I don't know. It was something I feel like no matter what someone's circumstance in life, when you have a tough time, I don't know if people always feel like this, but okay. I stopped asking for help as long as I was capable. And if something was entirely out of my reach, I learned to come up with an alternative. I did not want people to believe that I was weak. I stopped crying in front of people. I held my head high and my ego higher. But deep down inside, I felt small and like a hypocrite when it came to being optimistic, since I definitely did not feel strong. I didn't want people to know that about myself, not even my mom. For many years, the only safe place to let go of my emotions was my own closet. I have probably, I'm already choking up. I have already read this about, at least has to be 10 times.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to let you talk about that because it doesn't matter what I think. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, we should have brought coffee and tissue, shouldn't we?
I still get very emotional when every time I hear my own journey. And it's hard to believe that this is how far I've come. And, just to put it out there, the reason why I said I'm such an ordinary girl or ordinary woman, there's not any difference between you, me, and the rest of the world. We're all being here. And there's always that part of it, we have a closet to hide. And I was literally having a closet to hide. A lot of time I would just put myself away in the closet. That's where I find my peace. That's where I find my serenity. That's where I find that I am safe and I don't have to expose myself to all these judgment, not just coming from myself, but also from others, where they turn and they look at me and they say, what is wrong with you? I think physically, so a lot of what I had gone through has to do with just the physical appearance. It's not like having a bad hair, and this is something that I talk about in a lot of my speech, is that, we all have those days where we wake up, we're having a bad hair day.
Mhm.
And what do you do when you have a bad hair day? You cover it up, you wear a hat, or maybe you put it in a messy bun and you go out and you do your day and you live through your day anyway. But when you have a so obvious and evident and physical disability, you can you cannot hide it. There's no way to hide. There's no way to say, oh, you know what? I'm having a bad day. Let me just cover it up.
Right.
My way of covering up is dressing on very baggy clothes so that people don't have to see my scars. My way of hiding is that I want to be strong. I want to be strong so that people don't feel that there's a need to, give me the sympathy and give me that look that, oh, you're not capable. Let me just help you with that. And that sent off a wrong message to me in the past, where I really don't want you to help me. I just want you to acknowledge that I exist. That's all I wanted. I just want people to acknowledge that I exist. And yes, this is part of my disability. And I am just like everybody else. I have weak moments. I have vulnerable moments. And when I am not strong, I want you to come and hold me and say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I got you. We got each other. So instead of giving me sympathy, I think empathy is something that I was looking for. Having that sense of belonging was something that I was looking for. But I didn't get that. I didn't, and part of it is because my own self-judgment. I felt that, I was disconnected with the rest of the world. If I am weak, then that means, I am not strong. And people look at me when they see me, all my friends, all my relatives, they all see me as this very strong individual. So when people press upon a label on you, you are a strong person. You try to live with that expectation of being strong. So you do everything that you can to show, to demonstrate that you are a strong person. So what does a strong person do? A strong person do not cry. A strong person will just take care of things as they come up. A strong person will just make sure that they are independent, they are capable of doing things, handling things, and making decisions. But we forget that even the strongest person is still a human being. And every human being, including myself, I have emotions. There's sad moments. I like to be held. I like to be loved. I like to be seen. And I want to feel that belonging. And that's something that I didn't have. And I was blocking myself from having it by putting myself away in the closet.
When do you think you had that shift? And again, I'm going to let you talk about the book as in terms of the story as much as you want to share, because also too, we don't want to be a spoiler alert when people read this book because you'll just be disappointed. You don't, because you do also tell your story, but I love the narrative and your thought process that you share when you are at certain periods of your life. I think that's just a really unique perspective and it's very insightful. But where do you think it was that point?
So first of all, the book is a memoir. So it's an autobiography. It starts from the very beginning when I was born in Taiwan. And I was born into a tiny little veterans village. My grandfather came with the Kuomintang from Republic of China to Taiwan. The People's Republic of China, which mainland China, to Taiwan, and each individual veterans actually got assigned a village. So I grew up in a space that's about the size of an American garage, very small, and it was just myself, my brother, my parents, all four of us living in in the size of a garage. And so we do our business in the bedroom. We have a bed, which is shared by everyone. So the story began from there and moving on to through my whole entire life up until I became a coach. So to answer your question, when did I find that shift? The shift was actually, it didn't happen overnight. It was a period of realization that this is the lesson I have to learn, whether it's love, judgment, self-care, discrimination, or how do I make things work? All these lessons were learned throughout my whole entire life of 29 years going through that process. Mm-hmm. What really brought to that moment, that aha moment, was I remember I was sitting I was sitting at the curbside with a friend of mine, and I met him in a gym that I go to. And I was having a conversation with him. I had so much feeling for him that I wanted to share my life with this person. And so when I was able to express it finally, I kept holding it back. Well, this is not the right time. This is not the right moment. What if he said no? What if he rejected me? So I was plotting out all these messages in my head until finally one day I had enough courage to tell him, I have really strong feelings for you. And then I was waiting for his return, that affection to return, but I didn't get it. And that was the moment I broke down in tears. And in my head, I'm thinking, of course, why would he love me back? Why would he even want to be with me? Look at me, what do I have compared to all these other women on social media, all the women that surround and in his life? Why would he choose me instead of them? There's no way, it's not possible. So I was just sitting down the curbside, I was bawling, I was just having a really bad day. And then he started to read quotes. Like, this is a guy who had no idea of what's going on inside of me. He decided to scroll on his phone and read me quotes. He said, well, I don't know what's going on in your life, but here are some of the quotes that really motivate me and really help me to overcome these challenges. And I'm sitting there and thinking, we have such a disconnect in the way that we see life, in the way that we feel about life, and about what's going on in our relationship. Mm-hmm. So how did I come to the point where I even thought about putting myself in your hand and wanted to spend time with you for the rest of my life? Like, what got me to this point? And I'm sitting there and I was just having this big disconnection on the definition of love. And it was in that moment I realized, maybe I am love. And you know what? When someone else loves me or not, that has nothing to do with the fact that I am the source of love. And so that relationship, I wrote it in the book towards the end of the chapter. And so all the details you can read from the book. How did it happen? What was the conversation that was going on? But that was the moment where I realized that I have to change. And the only way that I am going to have love is actually the love that I have for myself.
Sorry. I'm like, oh my goodness. This is very emotional today for some reason. I'm sorry. You show that so well. And you have a great relationship with your family, right? And you talk about that as well. And specifically, you talk about your mom and her strength, right? Because I believe you came to the States when you were about 14. Is that correct? 11 or 14?
I was 15.
15.
I was 15 years old when I came to the country. And my mom, we all talk about mom and how moms wear many, many different hats. And I would say my mom is the strongest woman in this world that I know. She is the first child in her family, and she has 4 other brothers and sisters. So she took care of everybody. she was the one person they go to, and they were relying on her to take care of the rest of the family. So all her life, she's been taking care of others.
Mhm.
And when I was born, she was a very loving mother. And when I had the accident when I was 11 years old, she, I've never seen her cry. I've never, even after the accident, I've never seen her cry. And she was just always there. She showed up for me. She took care of me in the hospital. And I remember she was using one of the rolled away bed.
Mhm.
And every time I have surgery, so I had total of 13 surgeries in and out. Every time that I have surgery, she would just bring one of those roll away bed, and she would just, like sleep over with me on the rolled away bed every single time I have surgery. And she would cook for me, she would take care of me. It felt like, so in the book, I also talk about how my relationship is with my brothers and sister,
Mhm.
because after the accident, I felt like a lot of my mom's attention was put on me. So I really became the center of the attention. And that really took away the need and the love that my mom needs to give to my brothers and sister. So in a way, I felt really guilty about the fact that my brother and his sister got treated differently from my mom versus my mom treating me. And after the accident, and even well after into my adulthood, my mom pretty much was there and being my crutch. I had the pride. I was really I had so much of the ego that I was talking about, and that I didn't want to use crutches. So even though I was struggling making long distance walk, my back was killing me. I wasn't walking properly. I didn't want to use the crutches. Crutches to me, it's a symbol of like shame. It's a symbol of weakness. And I didn't want to use it initially. So the way that it worked was everywhere I go, long distance wise, I would take my mom with me. Even going to my first job interview, I brought my mom with me just so that I had someone to back me up, someone to be there and catch me if I fall. And everywhere I go, we traveled to a lot of different countries. We went to Japan, we went to New Zealand. She was there, she was holding my hand, and she was my crutch. She was my crutch. So my mom is this amazing woman. And even though I get upset with her sometimes, but I love her.
That's normal. Mother daughters. This is what happens. Doesn't matter what culture and what world. That's what happens.
Exactly.
Doesn't
So
matter.
even though I get mad at her sometimes, but she just, yeah, she's just very powerful. And I'm really grateful that like the universe just have a very beautiful way of making it up to us. I may not have a beautiful, amazing, healthy body, but I have a mom who took care of me. I have all the love that I needed surrounding me and nourishing me. And only if, and this is going back to that love for ourselves, right?
Right.
Only if I can see my own beauty and appreciate my own beauty, like life would be so much easier.
It sounds like your mother always saw it in you, though.
She always knew it. She always believed it. She never treated me as if I was different.
Because it sounds like she encouraged you to get educated, and I mean, even the fact that she goes to an entirely different country, an entirely different culture with 3 kids on its own is just like, wow, you're an awesome mom. But then, obviously you had your medical issues. I mean, that just takes a lot of bravery. I don't know if I would have had that bravery, truthfully. I mean, she left everything she knows
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, what bravery, honestly, what bravery? I can't even say it a different way.
I think every woman is capable of that bravery. You're willing to sacrifice for the wellness of your child. You're willing to
Yes.
sacrifice for the time for your child, right? Every woman has that capacity of that enormous unconditional love. But I think every woman forget that you deserve that same amount of love. So, my mom never, never treated me very differently. But like in inside of me, I wanted my mom to like really step up for herself. I watched her, how her interaction with my grandparents, how they are like relying on her, and they're really taking advantage of her, her ability to take care of everybody. And she just accepted as it is. She just accepted the fact that, oh, I'm the oldest one, and if I don't take care of them, and who else is going to take care of them? So there are periods where I watch my mom and how she interact with her family, and I'm thinking, just say no. No, this is not your responsibility to take care of that. No. And she wouldn't. So I know my mom is someone who has a big heart, and it's always thinking about helping others, and she's willing to sacrifice in order to achieve the greatness. And I think she's a perfect example of so many mom that I know. I know you take care of your twins, right?
Yeah,
Twins?
they're so close in age, it feels like twins sometimes.
You had two.
Two, very close in age, very close in age.
Right. So I think, at some point, even I'm not married, and I chose not to get married. I know there's part of me who's always wanted to serve, always wanted to sacrifice, always wanted to achieve the greater good. Even though that may eat away our time, eat away our money, it doesn't matter. We just want to be there and to support others. So we all forget the fact that, we're human beings too. We have feelings, and it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to say no. It's okay to, you know what? Today I feel like I'm going to cry. I'm going to stay in bed and cry. All right. I'm going to make myself some hot chocolate, and I'm just going to stay in bed, and I am not going anywhere. And that's okay. Having that feeling should not make us feel guilty. It should actually be normal to us. We're perfectly normal.
I agree. I think we treat the word selfish like it's always something so bad. But until you take care of yourself, you're just not available the right way to other people. You might make yourself available on, like you said, on the outside, on that, almost like that facade, but it's not really what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just what not that anyone really cares. What? So what is up for you next?
Oh, so many things.
That's what I figured.
So many things.
I love it.
So my mission, so I started my company about 3 years ago. This is my 3rd year in the business now. So I started a coaching and seminar company. My purpose is really to inspire others. I don't just want to inspire someone to, oh, you know what, Michelle is great, I feel so inspired. I actually want that inspiration to the next phase, to the next stage, which is taking actions. You can have great inspiration. You walk away from a seminar, you walk away from a conference, you feel motivated, you feel pumped. But if you don't put that into actions, the inspiration is going to be gone very quickly. And that is not what I want for people. What I want for people is they pick up the book or they come and listen to my talk, and they're walking away and say, you know what, I got this. And this is my first step. That's what I'm going to do. So they're starting to turn their inspiration into actions. That is my purpose. That is my mission. So my next big thing is actually I'm looking for a speaking opportunity. Mostly the places where I've been speaking to are women empowerment events, anywhere that they need to cultivate that self-leadership and just being able to bounce back from all the challenges and obstacles that we experience in life and also in our business, and taking it to the next level. How do you use that strategy? How do you recognize your strength so that you can actually be ready for your next stage of life, whether it's in, becoming a new mom, or becoming a new business owner? What is your next big step for you? And that's get there, be brave and go there.
What do you think people don't take that next step? I mean, because we all have dreams, we all have things. What do you think is that people just like they're there and they just can't get over that hump?
So there's a couple of things. You can approach this two different ways. For some individual, they have the right mindset, they have the right attitude, they know exactly what they want. but they don't have the simple steps or strategy of
Mhm.
that, knowing how to do it. So those are kind of like the external factor. Once you start telling them like, here are the steps of how you approach it, then they have no problem getting there. It's the know how to is where they get stuck. Now there's another group of individual where they have the step in front of them, but they still holding themselves back because every one of us have that inner critics, that inner gremlin. I call them the gremlin. Have you watched the movie The Gremlin? Like the little
Yes.
cute monster.
Are they cute though? Because my children act like that sometimes. And in the moment, they are not cute. Just saying.
Cute little monster, cute
Yeah.
little monster. Most of the time, they're like very cuddly,
Cute.
fuzzy and, like furry. You want to hug them.
Yep.
But every now and then, when you're about to do something big or something that's out of your comfort zone, it turns into this monster. It turns into this ugly, hideous monster, and it just come out and haunt you. And that is what we experience. You may have great strategy, you may know how, but you're just simply sitting there and thinking, well, who am I to think this is possible? Who am I to think publishing a book? Who am I to think that I can start a business? Who am I to think, there's a lot of what if that's going on in our mind. And that's because the inner critic, the fear, the idea that we are not good enough for something to accomplish it, to achieve it, to get there. So those are the two set of people. You can approach it from the externally, knowing the how to with the strategy, or you can approach it from addressing the inner critics, the inner what's going on inside of it. And I will tell you that in the past, my journey has a lot to do with the inner critics. It's the me stopping myself from going there, from doing there. Strategies, not a problem. I can learn. I'm capable of learning. But it's the inside, that inner critic, that imposter that I was experiencing, that was truly holding me back from getting to where I want to go. And once I got the inner critic down, once I start taming it, once I start, learning how to live with it and actually make friends, my inner critic and I nowadays, we have tea party. We sit down, we have a little tea party, like, listen, girl, I'm about to do something good and you're stepping out of in my way. What's up with that? So I start having conversation with my inner critic just to see like what's going on here. So I've learned how to deal with it. I've learned how to cope with it. I learned how to overcome it. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. And a lot of what I do as a coach has to do with showing you the steps of how to get there. But more importantly, I get to work with the inner critic, the gremlin that's really holding you back in getting there, even though you have the know-how.
And I think you talk about that a lot here. Like, again, like I said earlier, that when you're going through the phases of your life, it's like you go through that process of kind of how you started and then kind of how you were like, hey, girl, this is no, not acceptable. We're going to do something different here.
Yep.
I mean, it really is, it's inspirational. And if full disclosure, when I read your book, I thought it was going to be mostly about your accident and mostly around the physical challenges you face. It's not. It seems like almost the physical is like, I don't want to say not as important because clearly you have to do things differently, but it really is how you've overcome that emotional, that psychological, and not letting that hold you back.
Yeah. I think before we start this interview, you had talked about how not being bitter. And I think people who are going through, whether it's tragedy or obstacle, we somehow, the way that we protect ourselves is we become bitter. We tend to pick up that bitterness and it's like, well, you are like that because you're of course, why wouldn't you, right? So we sound very bitter. And I work in the hospital, so I work with patients who are being really pulled down by what they're experiencing in life, and they have a bitter way of approaching things. They have a bitter way of interacting with healthcare providers. when we approach it, things from a bitterness and from that negativity, you get a different feeling, you get a different outcome, and chances are you don't feel as inspiring inside, and it doesn't motivate you wanting to get out of bed and looking forward to anything in life. So my approach is that life is a big candy jar. And I think Forrest Gump actually talked about it, right? Life is a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. And so to me, life is a big candy jar. And imagine you have all these Skittles, the color of the rainbow inside this candy jar. You go in there, you take out a handful of it, you open it up, you have different color of the rainbow inside your hand. Now, someone who's bitter or develop that bitterness, you're going to focus on all the colors that you don't have in your hand. And when you do that, you keep searching, you keep looking for things that's like just impossible to get. But you forget that you still have a handful of candy that's right there in your hand. So all we had to do is just drop our own self-judgment around this bitterness or just being bitter and look at what we have. Practice gratitude. This is what you have in your hand. Pick one up, enjoy the moment, and go on to the next one and see what life has to offer. So you begin to experience life as it is without wanting something that's it's okay. Even though if you don't have it, look at all the things that's available to you. My mom, right? I may not be in a relationship with a man, but I am the most richest person in this life because I have all the love that I needed. It's not the same format, right? I'm not going to have to go into bed with my mom, but I could. I could. But it's a different kind of love. So love is really how we want to define it. And every single one of us deserves to be loved.
You know what? This is what we say to our kids. We'll say, who is the most important person you should love? And they go, myself, me. That's right. That is the most important person you love. I mean, sometimes now, even as a joke, they'll be silly. They'll be like, mommy, daddy. And be like, no. But they
Wrong
know.
Answer.
Right. Yep. Like it's you. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if people would like to get in contact with you for speaking engagements, for coaching, is the link to your website the best place to go?
Yes, that's my go-to place, elevatelifecoaching.org. So people who's looking into coaching, check out the coaching tab. And then people who's looking to pick books, speakers, and just go ahead and check out the speaking tab. All the information out there, my contacts, how you reach me, follow me on social media. All the information is available on my website.
Great. And I will make all of that information available in the notes as well. So it will be easy, as well as in our Facebook group, Mom Treading Water. Absolutely.
I've been following you in your group and you're doing some amazing stuff.
Thank you. It's exciting. I will tell you, when you talk about like that demon, that fear, starting all this, absolutely. I was so scared. And I was like, you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, really, what was the worst that was going to happen? Yeah, a little money. Oh, well. And I'm so glad I did.
Perfectly normal. And that's what I came up with the book. Perfectly normal, right? This is how we feel a lot of time when we're about to do something really exciting. It's the feeling that comes out. Perfectly normal.
It is perfectly normal. And really, friends, please, please, please. It's just so much inspiration. It's so much. You just learn so much. It really made me also look at myself and say, and reflect on some things with myself. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, Michelle, for that. I really appreciate that. And friends, you also have a podcast too, and I'm going to include the link to that as well in the notes, because I've been able to listen to a little bit, and it's, again, also inspiring. And what I love is that your inspiration is not trying to redefine people. It's helping people find their own definition of themselves. And hence this series that I was so excited to create. So I really am so grateful that we have connected, a new friend,
I
And
know.
I know, yay. And come to Maine. You're great here. Don't come in the winter, it's freezing.
I can come and help you shovel the snow, without, well, hopefully I don't bury myself in the snow.
Yeah, I like you, so you don't have to do that. Don't worry. Well, I have kids. They can do it. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Train them to be independent. I like that idea.
Absolutely. I do agree with that 100%. But really, I want to thank you again. It's been so great getting to know you. I'm so excited for us to continue to know each other, and hopefully you'll come back and visit with us again.
For sure.
I would love that.
Yeah. I actually, what was, we were talking about bravery earlier. One of the things that I often offer to talk about is the bravery, just having a courage card. I actually pass out courage card. So on the courage card, it's basically, what would you do to really take your bravery into the next step? So what would you do to have the courage to do one thing this week? What would that look like? So
for me,
are
you asking me or are you asking rhetorically?
I'm going to leave that for you and also for our listeners.
Yes.
Do that one thing that makes you courageous. What would you do, Melissa?
Ooh, what would I do? I think I would do episodes more around things that are more sensitive topics around things like racism, the importance of being aware of your community. And sometimes that's by making our own inner sacrifices, even if we don't 100% agree something. And I shy away from some of those topics. This week, I actually did a topic about just my experience as an adoption mom. And I will tell you, I have been so anxious about what other people were going to think. And I'm like, you know what? I very clearly disclose this is my perspective. Doesn't mean it's every adoption parent's perspective, any child, professionals. So maybe I'm starting to do it and not realize it. I don't know, but that's now I just committed to it. So
yes, you did. And it's on video, it's on recording. So you have no way to cop out on this.
I have no way to cop out. And I have you, and I know you are not going to let me cop out of it.
No. And just imagine, what Melissa just shared is a perfect example of how the fear or the gremlin, that little nasty monster holding us back. And there's going to be people who's waiting to hear from you, and just you being brave enough to share that controversial episode or topics. And that one person is going to be so inspired by you. And that's how we create that ripple effect, right? Just show up, being brave, be brave with Michelle.
Yes. Well, thank you. You clearly gave me the inspiration. Thank you for that. All right. So now I'm going to do it. There's the most fears. We can do it.
Yep.
Thank you.
There you go.
You're fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that I've been able to get to know you. Thank you. And again, I will include the link to your book and to your website, your podcast, so other people can continue to learn from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's a pleasure knowing you.
You too. We will talk soon, definitely.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you again.
Okay.
Thank you.